It's an interesting one, really, isn't it? Because there's lots of companies that say, "Oh, we need to get a culture." You know, you kind of everybody's got a culture. It's just yours is probably crappy if you're thinking that way. And I think it's interesting something you said earlier about culture isn't a project, and that's really enlightening. It shouldn't necessarily be a project. It should be something that maybe organically grows. And from what I understand with Zappos, your culture really organically grew from your set of core values. Correct me if I'm wrong. So why do you think it's important for a business to have a set of core values really as the backbone that their culture is built on?
As you said, it's organic. It needs to grow organically. Businesses grow organically, right? You have one or two people who get an idea. They get some funding, whether it's themselves or somebody else. They start the idea and they see if it actually works. When it actually works, they start to build on that. And then you get these 2 people that become 10 people that become 20 people. If you've been hiring people who understand why you're there to do what you do, and so purpose, again, is at the center of absolutely every bit of this. If you understand why the company even exists, and you're on board with that, and you come in and you become 20 and you become 200, and people understand why you're doing what you're doing, and it's part of your language, then your culture is going to very organically grow into a culture that is for this purpose. And I think that's what happened with Zappos. They talked very openly about being a customer service company. Everybody knew that Tony Hsieh, the CEO, didn't want a company that just became another corporate unit like his last company. So there was also that aspect. And so as it grows organically and you bring in more people, and I wouldn't do it when you have 2 people, maybe when you're the startup, but maybe when you get into a dozen or so people, start asking the question, who are we now? Who are we really? So we know why we started. We know why we do what we do. Who are we as the people that are making this happen for the company, for each other, for our customers? And that who question is culture, right? So you don't bring in one of those high-priced consultants who has a great list of words to choose from, right? Oh, you want to do culture? Great. We've got this list. You can pick from these options here. You know, these are all tried and true. They work great, right? Don't you love integrity? Isn't integrity awesome? But what's the problem with that? Integrity itself is a concept. If you ask 1,000 people, what is integrity? You get the general idea of doing the right thing, right? But what is doing the right thing? How, if I call out integrity as a core value for my company, how do I coach to integrity? How do I give feedback, negative feedback because of integrity? How do I maybe even possibly go through termination because of integrity? When in business, you might have different knowledge than I have, and so your decision would be different. So if I made the best decision possible given my information and knowledge, then I feel like I did that with integrity. Just because you have different or more knowledge doesn't mean that I don't have integrity. So that's a big one that I see a lot of big companies choose. They want it as a core value. They want it on the wall. Here's the thing with integrity. There's a little 5-second soundbite for you. People trust your business to do business with integrity, period. You shouldn't have to tell them, oh, by the way, we're going to do this with integrity. Trust is another one. Yeah, I'm going to trust you to do what I'm paying you to do. So the who question is really, who are we then, the people that make this organization tick? What values, what behaviors and expectations are there in these people right now that we can say, absolutely, without a doubt, this is us, and put a stamp on it, commit to living that moving forward?
Yeah, I suppose it's, if you have to, it's that old, the lady doth protest too much, or whatever the saying is. If you have to tell, by the way, we've got lots of integrity, that should really be a red flag right away. So hang on a second, why do they feel that they need to ram that down my throat? Why are they telling me that? So what's your advice on trying to make values real for people in the organization?
Take your time. So defining a core value, a structure, or a culture isn't easy, right? Even when it's really good, it's not easy. Take the Zappos example again. They spent a year, once Tony Hsieh, the CEO, said, we have to define the core values. They spent a year saying, okay, from everybody in the company, who are we really? What values, what behaviors make us who we are? And then saying, okay, we've got this great list of hundreds of values. That's too many. Are there themes? And they put things together with the commonalities, and they said, here are 37 resounding values and themes. Are we going in the right direction? So even in this process, the group that was in charge took the time to say, okay, now let's make sure we're aligned with getting aligned. And then after they got that okay, that acceptance and buy-in from everybody, that's when they said, we're going to pare this down to 10 core values. Not that 10's a perfect number, but from 37, it's a lot more actionable and memorable. You can actually commit to 10 values. And by the way, here's the list we've come up with from all of your input. And then they literally got everybody to sign a document that says that I understand my job is or this culture, these values and behaviors are as important as my job performance. And that's the commitment part. So there's 2 steps to culture. Define it. It's not easy, right? You have to be very careful. You have to listen to everybody's input. Not that everybody's input's going to end up on the list. Then you have to absolutely commit to it. You have to commit to the moment that you have to make a decision, and you could follow these core values or not, but it would be easier. You stop that commitment. And it's the moment that you do that, you take that step and you say, we're going to make this decision even though it seems to go against these new values. You've just told everybody that the list is worth nothing. You have to absolutely commit. But ask the people. Ask them general questions. Don't say, okay, we're trying to narrow down our culture and core values. What do you think our values are? And you can do that, but ask people, why do you come into work every day? If you're in a financial firm, there are 20 financial firms in this town. Why do you come into this one? Why have you stuck with us for so long? What makes this company your company? And then if you don't get a lot of this is my company, then you've obviously got sort of bigger problems. But what you're going to find is that people are going to tell you already what your brand is about. And then when you get the input of what we want to be, right, the values that we have, and you combine it with the understanding of who we are already, that's a truer picture of who you are than putting the aspiration on the wall, trying to tell the world this is who we are, and then trying to make your company become that.
If you want to learn the tools, the techniques, the mindsets, and the methodologies that Zappos and some of the world's other most customer-centric companies are using, then make sure to join me in Orlando on the 26th of March and become an accredited customer experience master.